Okay, before we get into details with the GR Corolla, here's a funny fun fact about the GR Corolla. I think it's made for people that like to receive things that come in 3 because it has 1, 2, 3 exhaust tips, the engine has 3 cylinders, and it has nearly 300 horsepower. This is Caricarz.com, and as we're filming this, UNW Toyota Motor is at the cusp of joining the local electric vehicle market space. However, we are glad that the company is still able to supply the market with some very exciting sports cars like the GR86 as well as the GR Corolla. And you already know how much I love this sports coupe as well, but it does have some limitations, namely space, to which the answer might lie in the GR Corolla hot hatch instead, because it has extra doors, it has more power, more speed. More importantly, as a hot hatch, it's as rare as they come because this is perhaps one of the last few that still offers rally racing DNA infused in its recipe. So without further ado, in this short video today, I'm going to tell you whether if the GR Corolla is worth buying or not. Okay, let's get serious again for a moment, ladies and gentlemen, and perhaps that is the best way to describe how the GR Corolla looks, especially when you compare it over the Corolla Sport hatch it's based on. That's because this is a much wider car front to rear. It also has a lot of the enhanced performance add-ons like this more aggressive front bumper that also feature functional ducts here as well as in the bonnet and in the quarter panel. These are not here for show, yeah, they're actually functional for both aerodynamics and cooling. So you go down here, as you can see, it rolls on very tasty black finish 18 lightweight Ankai alloy wheels. Right behind them, high performance brakes. They're not cross-drilled rotors, but they are slotted and they come paired with a red painted brake caliper. Very tasty indeed. And as you go to the midsection, check this out. It has a lightweight forged carbon roof, and this apparently helps save a lot of weight for this car. Okay, moving to the rear, and what's interesting here besides the presence of 3 tailpipes is the fact that the GR Corolla rocks a uniquely designed rear bumper for this model, and it's very aggressive and very mean, made even meaner with the addition of a built-in rear diffuser element finished in gloss black. Up here, you have the most important addition for any performance sports car, which is a rear spoiler, and like the rear diffuser I showed you earlier, it's also finished in gloss black. But altogether, folks, you can see the rear end of this GR Corolla looks just as mean as it does up front. Okay, let's get serious for a moment, because the 3-banger I showed you earlier is actually the world's most powerful production 3-cylinder engine, primed with direct injection and a turbocharger. It makes, as noted, nearly 300 horsepower and 370 Nm of torque. It is paired exclusively with a 6-speed manual transmission. Sorry guys, no automatic option for this one just yet. Drive goes to all 4 wheels via Toyota's Trick GR4 all-wheel drive system, paired with a LSD from Torsen, and it also offers 3 selectable torque split modes because, as I mentioned earlier, this is a car that likes to deliver things in 3. It has 1, 2, 3 exhaust tips, the engine has 3 cylinders, and it has nearly 300 horsepower. 0 to 100 takes 5.3 seconds. Let's count. Okay, boleh. Laju. Alright, I've been driving the GR Corolla for a few days now, and there's indeed a lot to love and just a little bit to loathe with the car, but I want to start with the cabin, and I want to start with the things I like about the cabin. 3 things. Firstly, the GR Sport aesthetic treatment. It's very subtle, very nice, and very posh. The poshness driven largely by the presence of leather and Alcantara, especially in the bucket seats, semi-bucket seats, which also feature the massive GR logo in the headrest. They're also very supportive, and this is something you must have in a performance car. The same applies to the steering wheel, which is wrapped in leather and features the GR Sport logo. I also add that both the seat steering wheel and the door inserts also feature very tasty and sporty red contrast stitching. Next, I also love the visual treats present, especially in the hot seat, and from this, the interactive digital driver display. It has all the important readouts, and it's also customizable, and I've set this one up to feature the most important ones for a performance car like this, which is boost readout, torque split readout, speedometer, rev counter, and gear position indicator. So it's quite a treat, and the bonus is that this digital display comes matched with a digital heads-up display. Last but not least, my other favorite part about this car is the center infotainment touchscreen, which, though it looks familiar, it is. It's the same unit you'll find in most other regular Toyota models, and the good news here is that it offers the most important things for daily driving, which is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity. 3 things I actually don't like about the cabin, starting with the GR Sport aesthetic treatment, whereby I'll agree with the arguments of many. It is perhaps a little bit too subtle. It could use a little more showmanship and theatrics here. And that brings me to the second thing I don't like, which is the absence of the performance display party trick in the center infotainment touchscreen. And I think that is a huge blow to this car, because it is quite the dramatic and fun car to be in, but it loses that one special conversation piece and one special party trick that other passengers can enjoy. Perhaps that's a sign that this car is too driver-centric. Last but not least, while this may be based on a theoretically more practical 5-door hatchback body, I will argue this is not the largest, the spacious, nor the most comfortable space to be in, more so given how bumpy the ride gets. And now we move on to the driving part of this review, and again, I'm going to give you 3 things I like and 3 things I don't about the GR Corolla. First and foremost, and unsurprisingly, this car is addictively fun. Well, you would feel the same way as I would if you are tempted with nearly 300 horsepower and 370 Newton meters of torque. 0 to 100 takes about 5.3 seconds, provided if you shift through the 6-speed box fast enough. And secondly, this car can carve corners for days, a lot of which stems from the fact that the chassis in this GR Corolla has been tweaked all around properly. It's stiffer than the regular Corolla, and it rides on stiffer, harder suspension as well. It's very supple with the damping, I would add as well. But it is a little bit bumpy. We'll get to that in a bit. Crucially, a lot of its corner carving abilities also stems from the high traction and high grip granted by the Trick GR4 all-wheel drive system, and you could tweak it in between 3 selectable modes, starting with front to rear torque split 60-40, 30-70, or my favorite, track, which gives you 50-50, and that's the one that gives you a proper rally car-like feel. Last but not least, one of my favorite things about driving the GR Corolla is the way its sport exhaust sounds like. And in typical fashion of most of these factory-fitted pipes, it's so full of bass in the low end, and it just gives such a menacing presence wherever it goes. Take a listen. How about them apples?
Aduh, panasnya ya Allah. Sekejap, aku nak praktis dulu buka.
Overall though, while this is a fantastic performance hatchback, I guess there's only one caveat to it, and the GR Corolla is its own worst enemy, because everyone will still compare this to its smaller sibling, the GR Yaris, which recently just got upgraded and now comes with an automatic option. I'll leave that to you to argue whether if that's a better proposition or not. But I guess the other niggle here is price to what you get ratio. Now, Toyota has priced the GR Corolla at $355,000. Though it is cheaper than a certain Honda badged hot hatch that only has front-wheel drive, I guess that Honda mention has stolen a lot of this hatchback's thunder, and it's going to take a bit of love and a fresher set of eyes for you to actually really like and want the GR Corolla, given that we live in an age where you can still get the GR Yaris as well as that rivaling Honda Civic Type R. But I'll leave that argument for you to decide. I personally think that this is perhaps one of the best ways to spend 355,000 ringgit, especially if you want a performance hatchback that's actually fun to drive and somewhat practical for the daily. And that's basically everything I can tell you about this rally-inspired hot hatch for the road called the Toyota GR Corolla. Well, what do you folks think of it then? Is it worth the asking price I mentioned earlier? Hit the comments below with your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and as always, for more information, visit caricarz.com/news.